Danny Spiewak joins us now in our live coverage. He, of course, was our chief political correspondent from the state capitol throughout this extraordinary, unprecedented session that we just had. And Danny, I understand you've been talking to some lawmakers this morning.
Yeah, there's just devastation across the legislature. I don't know if there's any other word really to use. And it doesn't matter what party members are from. They are just trying to process this horrific tragedy. Everybody works so closely together in the Minnesota Capitol. It's not that big of a place. There's a lot of camaraderie across the aisle. And so in talking to both House members and state senators, they obviously were informed immediately in terms of a police response. They were protected right away. They didn't want to get into the details of what necessarily that looked like, but they are in safe places. They are making arrangements for their families. A lot of fear as well, from the lawmakers too. And so right now, a lot of reflections about Representative Hortman, Speaker Emerita Hortman, and what she meant to not only her caucus, but the legislature. And I want to play a quick bite from Representative Nolan West, a Republican who has been in office while Melissa Hortman was serving as both the speaker and then as the leader of her caucus this session. But just listen to what he had to say today about her.
I'm not sure if we have that sound.
Not sure if we have it.
That's okay.
That's all right.
But I can tell you.
Well, we'll
sure.
get it back.
Yeah, I can tell you what he said. Basically, he said she was universally respected across the aisle as somebody who just knew how to get things done. And so let's take a listen now.
Well, she's pretty funny. She usually had a good quip, but she's very down to business and efficient, undeniably impressive leader. And I thought that before today. And for me specifically, like in the tribunal, you have to sit before the leaders, and her being one of them. She was very great to work with.
Yeah, Danny, we're hearing that universally from people on both sides of the aisle. We talked to Paul Gazelka, former state senator, state representative on the Republican side, and he said he would talk regularly, weekly, with Representative Hortman from opposite sides of the aisle. And Gazelka even sort of admitting or saying that perhaps we should have made that more public. Perhaps our rhetoric should have been more of an example of how you can disagree on policies but still respect each other as human beings, which is something you're seeing a lot less of these days, at least on social media and on the air.
You witnessed firsthand at the Capitol the way that these lawmakers obviously work together, but they're also friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can tell you too, I can't tell you how many times I heard somebody say, as they're trying to get the budget done, somebody referencing Melissa Hortman specifically saying, well, everything's in good hands. They're going to get it done because she's, one of the ones that's part of this legislative leadership that's working on it. And so it's very, very difficult to process right now. Just her stature in the legislature. There were few people that had the kind of track record that she had, being in the legislature for more than 20 years, and then of course being the leader of her caucus for the last several years. Few people with with her accomplishments.
And just one more note with you, Danny. She had to cast a very difficult vote right there during the special session in order to get the budget bill passed. She made an agreement with Leader Demuth that she would vote to strip adult undocumented Minnesotans from state-funded health care. And she had to cast that vote in order to get the budget passed. And I know that had to be a difficult moment for her, but that is what leaders do. Mm-hmm. In those moments, and she'd made an agreement and compromised.
Yeah, and of course faced criticism from her own party over that, but that's what she said, that she had to get a budget done. And I think that just speaks to just the kind of legislator that she was in terms of, trying to look at the greater good of Minnesota, trying to get things through, trying to get a budget in place, a very difficult vote. And she said she knew that it would be, controversial and that perhaps her members wouldn't agree with it, but it was something that was obviously a very tough part of this session. But the whole session was, just really unprecedented in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the House evenly divided.
Evenly divided, tie, and she was the one that in the beginning really fought for her caucus to have a power sharing agreement during a period of temporary transition because, of a very complicated situation. But she was front and center in all that and had the respect of people who agreed with her and disagreed with her.
It's just hard to process. Both the speaker and her husband shot and killed this morning. They have 2 grown children. Our heart goes out to them. Don't want to lose sight of that in all of this. Danny, we appreciate your report.